Hey guys, I am so excited to be tuning in again for another live edition, and today I'm super excited to be having with me Neha. She's been in the henna industry for over 2 decades. I cannot believe that she's actually, going to be sharing her pearls of wisdom with us, and I'm super, super excited. I'm just going to be writing here. I know it tends to be a little bit awkward, but I just want to make sure that the post is pinned so that you know what we're talking about today. There we go. How do we pin? Pin. Awesome. So until she joins in, let me tell you a little bit about what we're going to be talking about today. So we're going to be talking all about how to set yourself apart from the competition, because henna market is a pretty oversaturated market, and then Neha is going to tell us her advice on what to do to set yourself apart from the crowd. So we are just waiting for her here. I did connect her and I'm super psyched, you guys. I'm really, really excited. You have no idea. Hey!
Hi.
How's it going?
Good, thank you. Sorry, I'm just trying to get this like in a good spot.
Same here. Are we back?
Yeah, I think we're back.
Awesome. Okay.
Hi, everyone.
A little short. I need to get up.
Oh, I know. I'm in my car, so I'm on my lunch break, so I'm trying to do the best I can with what I have.
Oh my God, thank you so much. Like, I am super, super flattered.
Oh, no, I'm flattered to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got like a bunch of questions from people. People were super excited to hear from you and just know a little bit more about you and your journey. So why don't you start with that? Like, how did you get into henna? How did your journey start?
So, as a really young kid, my parents would work all day, and after work, I would, they would pick me up and bring me home, and TV was not really like the first option.
Okay.
There would just be like papers and pens on just covering the entire coffee table. And I mean, as far as I can remember, I would just sit and draw and just draw and draw. So I've been artistic my whole life. I think through elementary school, I would cover pages of pages of paper with henna designs using my pencil.
Yeah.
And I just got really intrigued, because every time I went home to India, I would get my mehndi done at restaurants or at weddings, and I would, just be so intrigued by the designs on my hands, and I would come home and try to mimic them or try to make my own. And then one day in 1994, my sister went to a carnival, and she got her henna done at the carnival, and the woman who was doing the henna had a sign that said "Help Wanted." Okay. And she came home and told my mom, like, Neha should totally go to this woman. She has her own salon and she needs help, so Neha should try and work with her. So I was against it. I didn't want to do it. But my mom was like, never say no. Like, you should always try. And so she led me down to the salon, and
little did you know, that you were gonna make a career out of it.
Yeah, and it was so interesting because I didn't want to be a part of it, and my mom was like, don't ever say no. Like, you have to try everything.
Yeah.
And so she said, if you don't like it, then don't do it. So my sister was my model. It's the first time I ever held a mehndi tube, like a henna tube, a cone. And she saw me and she said, I love your artwork. You're a little slow, but I'll hire you anyway. And so keep in mind, I'm like trying to use equal pressure as I'm working for the first time, because I've never used a henna cone at this point. And so I was slow, and she said, but she hired me anyway. And so I didn't think anything of it. I left the salon thinking, who's gonna need henna anyway? Like, who's gonna want this stuff? And sure enough, by that Thursday, I think I got hired on a Tuesday, and by that Thursday, she said, come down, I have a bride waiting for you.
Wow. Oh my God. So as a beginner, you went like full force working on a bride right away.
Yeah. So the bride was like my first client, and that's what I had since 1994. So now I mean, yeah, I worked a lot of henna parties here and there, but that was it. Like brides have been my bread and butter, and
Yeah.
she was my first bride, and I remember starting on her palm and working my way up to the elbow, and I'm messing up the palm as I'm working up the elbow. Then I realized like, oh, I'm supposed to
To be
start
the
at the
other way.
elbow and work my way down. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was a steep slope.
Yeah, no, I actually did the same mistake. Like I didn't take on any henna brides.
Yeah,
Yeah, like when I first started out, and my first bride was actually my cousin, and I did it.
yeah,
Obviously, I did it for free. Even
yeah,
even if I was a seasoned artist, I still would have probably done it for free because it's my cousin.
yeah,
But like looking at those pictures, I'm like, holy moly! Like how much you progress and those little techniques that you really don't know of unless you do it, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
So
I totally
amazing.
agree. Thank you.
Yeah. And I know that you also have these beautiful handmade collection of like cups and mugs and even t-shirts.
Yes, I do.
Uh-huh.
So over the years, I didn't think I knew I wanted a website, you
Yeah.
know, and of course, like everyone wants a website to kind
Mm-hmm.
of display their work, but I never really knew what, like, I never thought I would have an online shop. So
Mm-hmm.
let's just put it that way. Like, I just focused on having like an art gallery online, and I would have just my Mandy stuff displayed, whether it's bridal or minimal or customized, non customized.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started thinking, like, why don't I sell some stuff online? Like, why?
Yeah.
I initially started with just selling Mendy online,
Mm-hmm.
and that was my main focus. Like, that's what I wanted. And I consulted. I actually talked to Henna Lounge and
Uh-huh.
Darcy from Henna Lounge, and I was like, what do I do? Like, how do I get started? She's like, girl, just do it. Like,
Yeah.
don't think about it too much. Just do it. And so, we joked around about how to name the Mendy cones. And I have a mini Mendy cone and I have a magnum Mendy cone. And
Oh
we
wow.
would laugh about that. And I mean, whatever. I just went with it. And then those did well and they still do well.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I'm a very like crafty person in general. So I make a lot of things for my house.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of my stuff at home is handmade. Like my doormat is handmade. A lot of our cups and things are handmade. And over the holidays, I don't know if you guys followed me back then, but I had made an ornament
Oh yeah, those
for
were
our family.
gorgeous.
Yeah, and so it's just like the wheels are constantly turning. I think I want to make this for my house, and then I think about it and I'm like, more people would really like these things, and
Yeah.
so I start to create and I start posting about it, and sure enough, it goes so well. And there's other challenges
Oh, I
when
bet.
you have an online shop, like you have to figure out all the logistics of shipping and packaging and branding and
Oh yeah.
so and there's so much more room for improvement, but I mean, at least I started, and it's nice. I'm happy.
Yeah, absolutely. I always say that done is better than perfect. Like when you
Yeah.
get it done, you get it done. And that's how you know that you're doing something right. It's just by doing that, taking that first step and getting it done.
Yeah, 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 definitely. And I also feel like that that conceptual idea that I have in my mind for all of those things, I go from like the conceptual phase to the execute phase like immediately. Like I
Yeah,
don't waste time. I don't dwell on things. It's like if I think about it, I just got to execute it, see how it works, and just go for it.
I love that. I love that. I wish that more people had sort of that hustling mindset rather than just, being trapped and wanting everything to be absolutely perfect. And I feel like as artists, we tend to be like that.
Yeah, yeah. I think a lot of people are their own worst critics, and we tend to be hard on ourselves. And I
Yeah.
think as artists, we're perfectionists to some degree. However, there's no mistakes in art, right? But
Yep.
it's just the steps you have to take to get to where you want to be. And you just,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Sarah from Breath of Henna, hey girl, says amen. And I totally agree.
yeah.
All right. So, a bunch of people have asked a bunch of questions. So I'm just gonna, let's see, scroll through.
Okay.
And So, first question is, what's the best tip you'd give to a new henna artist?
I think to a new henna artist, the best tip I can give you is be original.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's like if you're just gonna, I mean, yeah, you want to try to gain control of your mending cone, and you want to try to mimic other designs, and you want to do all that, but go with the mentality of setting yourself apart from the rest.
Yeah,
Like that,
absolutely.
like try to be original. And if it's just doing dots and lines, just straight lines and straight dots, then that's what it's going to be, but
Yeah,
make it your own, you know?
yeah, so
Yeah.
true. And how would you recommend for someone to actually sort of set themselves apart in being original?
I think I've spoken on this many times before, and I think you just have to really think outside the box, get
Mm-hmm.
inspired from everything around you. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like right now, I'm sitting in my car and it's raining, and all these little raindrops are on my windshield. And to me, like, I see it as art. It's like gradient dots,
That's
big
so
to small.
amazing.
It's like, it's just your mindset. Like, I don't know if you guys know what a crown is. Like, when this is very scientific, this is like my engineering side coming out, but like, when a drop, like a raindrop falls, it crowns, right? So there's
Mm-hmm.
a big drop, and then it crowns with like tiny little dots around it.
Yeah,
Like to me, that looks like a flower, but with like tiny, it's like gradient dots, a big one in the middle and little ones all around. And
I
I mean, you
love
should
that.
take inspiration from that. Like everything is creative and artistic, and you just have to draw from it. Like, I mean, that's just, you have to look around, just be inspired at all times.
That's so amazing. I love that. Just, having the lens of an artist at all
Yeah,
times, just like you said.
at all
And
times.
I
Yeah.
never, yeah, I never switch it off because you might miss an opportunity.
Yeah, and for me, I feel like it's so innate. Like it's just built in, so it's easy for me. But for someone else, that's just starting out, it might not be so easy. But
Yeah,
don't feel discouraged. Like you just never know.
absolutely. I mean, the brain is a muscle at the end of the day, and the more you train it, the more you train your eye to see different things. It's just
Yeah,
like exercising, I feel.
yeah,
Would you agree?
yeah, definitely. I mean, like I want you guys to see this outside my window, right? Like I'm being real here. Look, do you see these green leaves?
Oh, absolutely.
Like to me, that's even inspiring. Like
Yeah.
all these leaves are symmetrical, but they have like, I don't know. Like to me, that's art too. So
Amazing, amazing. All right, so we're about to get into a little bit more meticulous questions.
yeah.
How do you intentionally set yourself apart from the crowd?
Well, I follow a lot of Mehndi artists online on Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
and well, let's say I follow a lot of hashtags for
Okay.
Mehndi on Instagram, and yeah, I see the popular posts with paisleys and flowers and
Mm-hmm.
things like that, and swirls and vines. But the first thought that comes to my head is, okay, it's been done. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So if you look at my artwork, you won't see like floral work.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just not something I do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I People request it. They say they like flowery designs and all that, but then I kind of question like, well, why did you hire me if that's what you want? You know,
Absolutely.
because that's
Absolutely.
not my aesthetic at all. And I think it's beautiful. I think many artists pull it off great, and the floral work and the paisleys and all that are great. I mean, yeah, I do paisleys, but it's just that flowery stuff is just not my aesthetic. So that's my that's my first thought when I see it done. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm not going to do it at all.
Yeah.
So I just don't. So it
Yeah.
forces me to kind of push the barrier a little bit more.
So true. I love that you're sort of like standing your ground and, creating that boundary in your art and telling
Definitely.
people that, you hired me for my art, not just for me to be a replication machine. And
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. And I remember I had a lot of trouble, and I still find that I do sometimes, like it's a challenge for me to sort of come up with my own style.
Yeah.
And I remember Darcy, actually from Henna Lounge, called me out on it one time, and I told her I can't figure it out. I can't figure out my style, and she was like, "Well, it's because you're copying people all the time. Stop copying people." And it was
Yeah,
really funny because I was replicating her designs all the time and I'm tagging her, and that's like free promotion for her. But then again, she was totally right. And you need to stop, sort of copying other people and just really try to break out of that and be as original as possible. If you see
it's true.
Paisley's, yeah, if you see Paisley's being done over and over again, maybe you can do your Paisley a little differently. Maybe you can add like a reverse design in there. Just be different somehow. Be
Yeah, maybe
authentic.
we do.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
so
I mean,
true.
and honestly, I find myself repeating a lot of my intricate details a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I have a problem with that sometimes with myself. Like, why aren't you changing it up? And then I think about it, it's like, no, like that's my signature style. Like, I'm not going to give that up. If I stop, then I mean, I can change it up, but I'm not going to eliminate. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. So I'm just gonna scroll through because I did see a few questions and I don't want to miss anyone.
Yeah.
So Henna Beauty by Krupa asks, what advice do you have for someone who wants to increase their visibility as an artist?
I think for someone who wants to increase their visibility as an artist, um,
Oh no, I think we
you
lost you for a
cannot.
second there.
Oh, someone called. That's why.
Okay.
Should I put this on Do Not Disturb?
Uh-oh.
Back.
Did we? Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, someone just called. So I don't do these
Yeah.
lives very often.
Instagram, get your stuff together. This always happens to me too when I'm like in the middle of a live and I get a notification or a call. I'm like, no.
I know. I know. Well, I put on Do Not Disturb, so we should be good now. I hope.
Awesome. Awesome.
But yeah, definitely just put yourself out there. Um, you need to just reach out any opportunity you can. Just if you're going to gain visibility, yeah, Instagram is great. I mean, it's crucial this day and age.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like people also need to see it in person. So any chance you get, I mean, just put your heart out there. Just
Yeah.
do it. Yeah.
So true. So true. All right. Sarah from Reth of Henna asks, there are many different abbreviations of floral, radial patterns, Rajasthani, Moroccan, etc. Your work has a consistent flow. How do you not get overwhelmed by your work? Do you see a connection? That's an interesting question.
That is an interesting question. It's so loaded. Yeah. So I do I do see a connection between my artwork and Rajasthani art because I've grown up seeing Rajasthani art being very fine and small. And I also remember fine henna work being praised, like
Mm-hmm.
in India. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like as a kid, I just remember people being like, no, 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 look how fine that work is, or look at that filigree type work. And so I always tried to have my work be fine like that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
strayed from like the thicker designs and it just became my aesthetic. I mean, and yeah, my work does have a consistent flow, but again, I think it goes back to me using those same patterns in different ways
Yeah.
on all of my clients. As far as like bridal stuff goes, I try to make, okay, so the palm side I don't make identical unless the client asks for that, but that's not something I personally do. But if I use a certain pattern on one side, I use it again on the other side in some other way,
Yeah.
and that's how I make it cohesive. And then the back sides of the hands and the feet are all 100% symmetrical. So
Mm-hmm.
because to me that's like exposed, and you know, people see it more on the outside, so it's got to be more consistent. It looks
Mm-hmm.
jewelry like, but
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, it's just your own it's your own way of seeing it. And I think when I work on a bride, I don't meet them ahead of time. So when I
Mm-hmm.
sit down to do Mendi with them, that's the first time I'm working on them and meeting them. And
Mm-hmm.
so I don't think out my designs ahead of time. They literally tell me on the fly, this is what I want included in my Mendi. So I just have to like start thinking on the fly. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I do that, I don't I'm working really close up on a certain
Yeah.
section of the hand, but in my mind, I'm visualizing the whole bridal piece as a whole, even though I'm
Oh
not.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's like painting, right? Like you have a giant 4x4 canvas, and you know what you want it to look like at the end, but you're so zoomed in on little parts of these canvases to create that large piece, if that
Yeah.
makes any sense.
Oh
So it's,
yeah,
again, it's all
absolutely.
perspective.
I love that. I love how you're sort of mimicking, a bridal design into like a canvas and sort of
Yeah, definitely.
portraying, yeah, and sort of portraying what it's actually going to look like at the end. And
Yeah.
it really, it's a testament to, how amazing of an artist you are, because
Thank
I
you.
know even, I know even a lot of henna artists, they can't really visualize something unless they have something to reference.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a very difficult skill to acquire, and I'm sure that you know it's accounted for. I think, how long have you been in the industry? Like 23, 24 years?
This is my 25th year of doing Mendi.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's
You
really
look
crazy.
super young.
Thank you. Thank you.
Seriously,
I'll take
whatever
the
you're doing, it's
compliment.
working.
Thank you. I do a lot of art. That's what I do.
It's
It's
good for
very
the soul.
therapeutic. Yeah, it's great. It is really good for the soul.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
true. All right, let's go to another question here. Let's see. So many questions. I can't. Okay. What's your inspirations?
Um, I think I touched on this. My inspiration is literally everything around me. It could be my favorite piece of jewelry. It could be tiles on the floor. It could be some sort of like wallpaper. It could be anything. So I'm really inspired by everything and anything. I mean, I can't even tell you.
Hmm.
It's just, I just see things very differently and I can't explain it. Like, it's just an artistic eye.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I
Yeah.
love that. I think this is gonna be like one of my biggest takeaways from
Oh,
this Instagram live. Because
good. I'm glad.
yeah, because like I know that I always try to envision art, looking at the world through the lens of an artist, but sometimes you still kind of forget that.
Yeah.
Like you have to really practice or train your brain into thinking like that all the time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it's I've been at points before where there's like mental roadblocks and
Hmm.
you don't you don't see past a certain point, or like if you're working on a client, you're like, gosh, what pattern do I do next? As a young artist, I remember having that.
Yeah,
Especially my first year. It was like, you know, um kind of like stressful because you
yeah,
had to work on the fly, and then when
yeah,
you have these mental roadblocks. But then what I realized was there there are no mistakes in art, and those little roadblocks that are in your brain are just self-inflicted, and you
yeah.
just need to let go and move past it.
So true, so true.
Yeah.
I
And
love
I
that.
apply that to like everything in my life. Like I really apply that to everything. So
Amazing, amazing.
thank
I
you.
love that you took little life lessons from Henna and applied it to your everyday life. That's
Oh,
amazing.
definitely. You have to.
Yeah. All right. So, I felt studio asks, how do you collaborate with people like makeup, photographer?
Um, I I do collaborate a lot, and but what I don't collaborate with everyone.
Uh huh.
So I pick and choose because ultimately my work is going to be out there, and I love doing editorial stuff
Hmm.
with makeup and photography and things like that. But again, like, I'm not going to do what's already been done.
Yeah.
You will rarely see an editorial shoot with my work and like a bride,
Hmm.
because to me it's like every time I work on a bride, there's a professional photographer like there, and I'm going to get those images. And so what's the difference between an editorial bride and a bride that I work on? Like, I would rather
Yeah.
have the real bride that I worked on than
Yeah.
waste my time not waste my time, I shouldn't say that, I should say spend my time doing another bridal shoot. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
um,
Absolutely.
and I've seen people get super creative even with bridal shoots alone. Like, and
Hmm.
I look at those pictures and I'm like, wow, like I never thought of that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's ways to do it, but in my mind, it's just different.
Hmm.
It's not,
Hmm.
and I don't know, even though I'm like a bridal Mendi artist, like I specialize in bridal Mendi, I don't consider myself to be just a bridal Mendi artist. You
Okay.
see what I mean? I just consider myself to be an artist. So
Uh-huh.
if I produce something, it's just going to be artistic, period, whether it's Indian or not, or whether it's erotic mehndi or not, or whether,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it could be anything, but it's going to be artistic and it'll just
Yeah.
have to be different. That's just my take on it. So
Yeah.
yeah, usually photographers are usually the ones that reach out like, hey, you want to do a shoot, you want to do something, and then makeup artists I try to bring on board. You know, if I feel like I need some special effects or whatever, like I have some contacts that I would prefer, and
Mm-hmm.
they can do special effects for me if I need them. And so, yeah.
Amazing, amazing. And would you say that, you know, I feel like in the Instagram world and the social media world, it's so easy for us to sort of blend in with the crowd. Do you feel like Instagram causes a hindrance for people, or do you feel like, no, if anything, Instagram can actually be a good source of inspiration? Or is it a mix of both?
Um, I think I think Instagram can really get an artist lost. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like sometimes some artists don't get enough exposure that they deserve.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but again, it's all a game. You
Yeah.
know, it's like it's a numbers game. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, who really cares?
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, the millennials are all about Instagram and they want to see, you know, who's got the most followers and maybe
Mm-hmm.
they'll get more bookings or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
you just have to really just be happy with um, your space. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I've talked to other artists about um, like my exposure on Instagram. I've been on Instagram since 2014.
Mm-hmm.
I have about 22,000 followers,
Mm-hmm.
and I know artists that have increased their following by 100,000 in a year. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
and to me, that's like, how'd you do that? And it's
Yeah.
great that you do that. I think it's awesome, but how'd you do that? And
Yeah.
like, I slave away and I spend so much time on my artwork, but then again, that's the difference, right? Like, I spend my time producing and working on my artwork, and I probably don't spend enough time on Instagram and posting my stories and doing lives, and I I'm too busy to do all that, you know.
Yeah.
So for me, it's just priority, right? You prioritize, and you have to be happy with where you're at. I'm happy with having 22,000 followers, and um, they're all organic followers. Like, you know, it's funny because I think there was like a rule of thumb on Instagram that said you have to post within the first 9 photos on your feed. You should have a photo of yourself, and
Mm-hmm.
I would post a picture of myself, and I would lose like 30 followers, you
Really?
know.
That's
Yeah,
truly
I
bizarre.
would get like a ton of likes. I would get the most likes, you know, for that
Yeah.
picture compared to my others, but then I would lose like 30 followers. And
Mm-hmm.
then it used to like get to me. I'm like, dang, like, am I that ugly to be like
No,
unfollowed?
absolutely
Like, what's
not.
wrong with me? But you know, and I would take it to heart. But at the end of the day, it's a numbers game.
Yeah.
But I think Instagram is crucial. You do need it to show your work. Your clients will be clients, and no matter what, you know, it's like if they like what they see, you will get the gigs. And I think I've proven that over the last few years. I mean, I've been able to work with some really amazing, you know, celebrity clients and whatnot, just based on my work alone. So I'm very happy in that sense. You just have to be happy in your space and count your blessings. So
So true. So true.
yeah.
And I once I hit 10,000 followers, and just like you, it's like completely organic. I just started to get this flood of, DMs. I'm sure you experienced the same thing. Oh, please give me a shout out. Please give me a shout out. And
Yeah.
it's like, it doesn't, I don't know. I find that it does not matter how many followers you have. Like, I know artists who have 500 followers and they're crushing it. They just cannot keep up with their clients. And
Yeah.
then the opposite is true. You'll have people with thousands upon thousands of followers. Like, the numbers don't matter as long as you
No,
are doing the work and you're doing the art and you're passionate about it. I think that's
I
what matters
agree.
most. Yeah,
I agree. I
absolutely.
agree.
Absolutely. Now to segue on, you brought up the whole celebrity client aspect because we did have a question in here.
Oh,
So someone did ask, uh, 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 when you started in the industry, you worked off of patterns. Do you feel as though these patterns are definite? Oh, sorry, that's the wrong question. No, here's the right question. What's your take on being in a density populated celebrity region?
what's it like being in a celebrity density region? I see it as opportunity. I mean, um, but again, you have to put yourself out there. Like, these celebrities aren't just gonna hit you up out of nowhere. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, I think, I've been kind of in that scene for a while, so it's been nice. I've worked with so many different people. I mean, whether they're photographers or makeup artists or, music industry people, whether they're producers or artists themselves. And I just don't limit myself. Like, even if it's a restaurant owner, like, I'll take it on because that's huge. I mean, I don't know. I've worked with all these people, and whether they're jewelry designers or clothing designers, and somehow, some way, they're connected, and then one thing leads to another, and it just happens. But
Yeah.
I think I just I've worked really hard to put myself out there.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And how would you say you did that differently from other people? Because I know there are tons of henna artists who feel, well, I'm putting myself out there. What did she do that I'm not doing?
Wow. I don't know.
It's a tough one.
Maybe it's just luck. I don't know. I can only honestly only just trace that back to being well connected, like, and I mean, I work I work in the engineering industry. So I'm an engineer full time, and even at work, like, I meet people that know someone who do something, and we connect. Like, it's
Yeah.
just actually, at my last job, it was through someone at work that I got connected to the Grammy Awards scene, and I was at Grammy parties
Ah,
like year after year. So it's not about just your art. Like, it's who you know, where you are, who you're connecting with. Like, it's really important. Like, networking is really, really important.
so true, so true. I mean, I really, I am insane when it comes to networking events. And I'm not just going to network with just henna artists. I'll network with photographers. I'll network with makeup artists. I'll network with wedding, people in the wedding industry. And it's really about who you, I mean, a very big portion of it is how good your art is and how you put yourself out there, but it's also just as equally important to be well connected to your community, because these are the people that are going to give you clients. These are the people
Oh
that
yeah,
vouch for you.
definitely. Yeah,
It's
for me, it's like, even the community. Like, I've received so much love from everyone in our community here, and just so much support. It's really overwhelming. And being in the industry 25 years and knowing, I remember when there was just a handful of vendors in the Indian industry, and
Mhm.
I was one of them, and I'm still one of them, and those people are still one of them. But now there's like, the industry's multiplied. There's vendors everywhere, coming out of everywhere,
Mhm.
and you just have to set your place in that.
So
Like,
true.
I still am the man, the artist, like, in
Yeah.
this industry that wants to do well. And I mean, these people have supported me my whole life, and I don't think I'll ever stray from doing bridal mehndi. Yeah, I have all these other avenues of artwork, but I mean, bridal mehndi is what made me. So I'll never ever, like, give it up. Yeah.
So true. Amazing. And speaking of bridal Mendy, we did have one question here. What's the worst henna experience you've had with a client, and how do you keep your sanity?
You know, it's I can really elaborate on some of this stuff. I'm a mom of two kids, so I'm blessed with patience. Um, and I think my brides have trained me to be this patient person with my kids. And I
Uh-huh.
think my kids have trained me to be patient with my brides. So it's just
Like the
been like,
chicken and the egg.
yeah, totally. It's like a vicious cycle. My worst experience with a bride, I've had a few. Man, I've had one person. It was the bride's sister, actually.
Mhm.
Um, she wadded up well, she was threatening not to pay me at the end of my appointment.
What?
Yeah, and this was probably 15 years ago.
Okay.
And note that that's like 10 years into my Mendy career, and I was not going to put up with bullshit. Like, that
Yeah.
was just not going to happen.
Yep.
And so, of course, like, I stood my ground, and I'm like, I've provided a service. I need to get paid. I'm not leaving till I get paid. And
What was her? I'm curious to know what her excuse was in that one
she
situation.
said, it's complicated. It's very complicated. So they booked me for the wedding, or they booked me for the mehndi. I got there. Oh no, they booked me for the wedding. Never gave me a location and time
Mm-hmm.
on when and where I was supposed to be. So I knew that it was going to be around the early or late afternoon time. So I went into work like really early in the morning so I could get off in the afternoon, like super early. This is
Yeah.
like on Friday. And I literally just like had my mehndi packed with me in my car and just waited because I'm like, I've been calling this person for so many days, at least 10 days. Like, where am I supposed to be? Give me the time, location.
Yeah.
This is when like email really wasn't the thing
Yeah.
to like, solidify everything. It was just on phone call and notes.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just like, I'm confirming everything with her and she wouldn't call me back and nobody would call me. And then, so I just said, I'm going to get this call. She's going to say, "Where are you? And why are you not here?" And sure enough, I got that call. She was really upset. It was the bride's sister. She was really upset. And I finally got to my destination. She was all upset. I said, "Look, like, I didn't have any information, but forget it. Like, I don't want to argue. Let's just get the work done and
Yeah.
then we'll talk after." And so I did all the work and it was fine. Like, everyone got done. Everybody got done. The
Mm-hmm.
bride got done. I did her whole family too. I did everyone. And at the end of the night, she's like, "I'm not paying you because I'm unhappy with the fact that you didn't show up." But the bride told me that she changed her phone number without telling me. And then her sister was the wedding planner. And if the sister was the wedding planner, she should have called
No.
me to say,
Yeah.
"Hi, I'm so and so's wedding planner." And none of that happened. And so finally, when it came time to pay me, she said she wasn't going to. And I said, "You better." And finally, when she did, she wadded up her cash into little balls
Mm-hmm.
and threw it in my face.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Some people just don't know manners. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's
I
insane.
mean, and I was really hurt. Like I think I cried the whole way home.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really upset because it's like I gave you a piece of my soul, and it's not like your balance remaining was that much. Like
Yeah.
you could have just squashed it. Like there's more mature ways to handle things. So that was one
Absolutely.
experience, but I've also had other brides like intoxicated, not just with alcohol, but like under the influence of drugs, and that
Oh
was really
my
hard
God.
because
On
yeah,
her henna application day. That's crazy.
yeah. So
Oh
it's
my
hard.
God.
They move around too much, and then the high comes down, and they're sloppy, and it makes it very hard. But then it's like I'm there to do one job, and that night I remember I probably didn't finish till like 2:30 in the morning.
Wow.
But now it's in my contract, like I have the
Yeah.
right to refuse service. If anyone's under the influence of drugs and alcohol to a certain like extreme, right? Like I don't want to deal with people throwing up all over the place, and I
Oh,
don't want to deal with
absolutely.
people. Yeah, I mean, I shouldn't have to. That's not part of my job descriptions.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I had a very similar experience, not with the high, just the idea of, people refusing to pay me before I left. And ever since, I'm like, I gotta rewrite my contract. If you don't have that stuff written down in your contract, you're back.
Yeah,
You have your back against the wall,
yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah.
Like your
And it's
word.
hard with Mendy because you can't, if you're charging by the hour or if you're charging by the design, there's always more than what they book you for.
Yeah.
So you have to upcharge. Like you can't just walk away with that much payment and like, you know what I
Yep.
mean? Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Nazia from Nazi Henna says some think they own us. Yeah, some think they do. But I don't want to I don't want to build this bad rep against brides because I've had some amazing brides,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
outstanding brides. Do you have
Yeah.
like an experience with, something that was super memorable that you just couldn't forget about with a bride?
I remember so much from every single bride. Every single appointment is just it's magical, even the bad ones. Like there's so many good things that happened with them as well. And um I mean, I always try to see the good, but the bad is sometimes just so obvious.
Yeah.
But yeah, I connect with the brides and their families and just, we share stories. I remember during the hard times in my life, like I've shared many tears with my brides
Mhm.
and many laughs and many stories. And it's some of them really got me through a lot of stuff. So that was really cool.
Yeah, I love how because you're spending, very intimate moments. I mean,
Oh,
you're
yeah.
spending up to like 8 hours, 9 hours
Yeah,
even with a bride, and it's just like you're bearing your soul. It's like a therapy session, I find.
I know. I always joke. I say you're going to spend more time with me than the groom, like this whole week, because that's just how it is. It's the reality.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna use that.
Yeah, definitely.
Amazing. All right, let's see. I think we have time for two more questions.
Okay.
Let's see here. So, someone asks, how do you handle cramps and stiffening when doing Mindy?
You know, I don't get cramps and I don't get stiff.
Awesome. Well, you've been doing it for 25 years. I would imagine so.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely just kind of have conditioned myself. I used to sit on the floor for 9 hours and do mehndi on the hands and feet, but that's getting harder as you get older. So I sit more on a table now. But yeah, I don't cramp up. Knock on wood. Um, I definitely stretch a lot. I'm in the gym a lot. I do yoga, things like that. So it keeps me kind of active and flexible, and you know
So true. So true. For
yeah,
me, I was never ever in my entire life like a healthy athletic type
yeah,
person. But
yeah.
I've recently joined the gym about 6 months ago, and I've been like this super addicted, the complete opposite of what I used to be, not eating junk food anymore. And I found that it's really helped with like my posture, with cramps, when I'm doing henna. It's just amazing. Like what little movement you can do with your body can really help on the long run.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. I think we have time for one more. So I remember you did mention that when you come to do your henna, it's usually sort of on the fly, it's improvised. But for someone who's just starting out, who doesn't have, specific elements memorized, would you say that it's a good idea for them to memorize specific layouts until they're comfortable enough? Or no, you should start, improvising from day one in order
I
to
mean,
be original?
I think you should just improvise from day one. I
Uh-huh.
mean, if the end goal is to improvise, you might as well just start practicing like that.
Yeah.
Why show up with other people's work in your mind? Like, you can have a concept maybe, but then it's hard because when you get there, you realize, okay, the bride's hands are too small to do this, or
Mm,
maybe her hands are too big, and to do something like that would take forever, and you want to be efficient, and you want to, so you just have to work on the fly. I feel like there's no other way.
yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
So just be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
basically. Yeah, definitely.
So true. All right. So
Yeah.
one last one, because Jonal Henna here asked, how long does it take you to finish bride if you are doing henna till the elbow,
Doing henna till the elbow takes me 6 hours,
front and
um,
back?
front and back and the feet. And if it's custom work, I would just tack on an extra hour just to be safe. But usually it's like 6.5 hours.
Okay.
Yeah. And I've had so many people say, you're so slow. Like, in India, we do this in 2 hours. And I'm like, that's great, but you're here and you've hired me. Like, thank you. I mean, not
Yeah.
the bride. The bride's usually the family that says stuff like that. Like,
I
why
know.
does it take so long? Yeah.
I know. I know. I've had that one time, and it's like, well, if you do this in 2 hours, there's no freaking way you're gonna match this kind of quality. That's the first
Yeah.
thing.
I
And
know. You know what happened actually? I did a BuzzFeed video.
uh-huh.
Uh,
I
think
saw that. That was
yeah.
amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, it's nine.
The
If you
six
haven't
hours.
seen it, yeah, if you haven't seen it, it's like 7 hours of bridal mehndi in 95 seconds, and you can YouTube it.
Yeah.
And I remember just reading the comments on there, and this girl was like, "Well, I can do that in 2 hours. I don't know why it took her 7 hours." And I'm like, you just never know. Like, you don't know. It's like, you gotta compare everything. Like,
Yeah.
just
So
do
true.
you.
So
Yeah.
true. Oh my God. All right. Let's see. I think we're good. I think there are no more questions here, and I do want to let you go because I know you're like sitting in your car in the rain. And
Oh no, it's
super,
fine.
super
It's
grateful.
fine. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm super happy that you took the time and to answer all of these people's questions and sort of sharing your wisdom. And just in case you are catching the replay and you're watching all the way through, I always have to acknowledge these people. And in case you can't catch this, and I'm going to be uploading this for the 24-hour replay, but in case you can't catch it, it will be uploaded on the Facebook group. So definitely send me a DM if you want to join. And thank you so much, Neha. I'm so
No,
excited. And
thank
I
you
hope,
for having me today.
absolutely, I'm sure we will cross paths very soon in one of the henna conferences, or if I visit, sometime on your side of town. I'm
I know,
sure.
I've never been to a henna conference, and I really
No,
want to go.
that's
Yeah,
crazy. I'm surprised you didn't even teach in one before.
I know. I would love to teach in one, but I don't even know who puts them on. I don't know anything about any of these conferences. I was so upset the other time because I think there was one here in the Valley in LA recently. I think some of you might have gone, but I'm thinking, how come I didn't know? And no one told me.
Yeah, I think maybe because some of the conferences, they're not super active all year round. They're just active, on social media
Yeah.
during the conference. So maybe that's why.
I don't know, man. I'm just like, I wish someone told me it was here in LA, and I missed it. I missed the whole thing, and I'm over here on Instagram watching everyone. I'm like, man, I wish I could have been there.
Yeah.
So,
Oh my God, I
hopefully
think
soon.
you just gave me this awesome idea. Maybe I should comprise a list of all the henna conferences and share it with everyone.
Yeah, make like a conference calendar or something.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah, I really need to. And it's hard for me to get away, because it's like I got work and the kids and then my Mendy stuff and my paintings and the online shop. It's just like
Superwoman.
on and on and on and on. Life is crazy. So I try to balance it all. And to get away even for a night, I feel so guilty sometimes. But I definitely want to go to a conference. Even if it's just for a day, I need to be there.
You should. Yeah. It's so much fun. It really is.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I'm super excited, and hopefully we'll cross paths very soon.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for having me, and thanks everyone for all your comments and questions. If you guys feel like you have more, feel free to just reach out, send me an email, or you can always DM me, or just whatever. Get some conversation going. I love it.
Absolutely. So true. All right. Thank you, Neha, and have
you
an
so
awesome
much.
day.
Thank you. Bye. You too. Bye, everyone.